Hello, and welcome to Everyday English Pod, your guide to mastering effective communication. I'm Leo, and today we're tackling a crucial skill that will serve you well in all aspects of life, expressing your opinions politely. In this episode, we'll explore how to share your thoughts in a way that is clear, respectful, and fosters positive interactions. You'll hear relatable stories and get practical examples that will help you navigate various situations with grace and confidence. Whether you're in a team meeting, a casual conversation, or even an online discussion, knowing how to express yourself politely is essential for building strong relationships and achieving your communication goals. So, let's dive in and unlock the power of polite expression. Imagine this. You're in a brainstorming session with your team at work. Your colleague, Mr. Harrison, proposes a new approach to a project. You see some potential in his idea, but you also have some reservations. Instead of bluntly stating, "That's not going to work," you can adopt a more polite approach. You could say, "That's an interesting idea, Mr. Harrison. I appreciate your innovative thinking. I see some potential benefits, but I also have a few concerns. Would you be open to discussing them further?" Let's consider another scenario. Two friends, Olivia and Ben, are discussing weekend plans. Olivia suggests, "I think we should go to that new art exhibit downtown. It's supposed to be amazing." Ben isn't particularly interested in art exhibits. Instead of responding with, "I don't want to do that," he could say, "That's an interesting suggestion, Olivia. I know you're really into art. Personally, I was hoping for something a bit more active this weekend. Maybe we could check out that hiking trail? What do you think?" By framing his response this way, Ben keeps the conversation open and avoids sounding dismissive. Remember, being polite doesn't equate to always agreeing. It's about demonstrating respect while articulating your own viewpoint. A helpful phrase in such situations is, "I see your point, but I have a slightly different perspective." This phrase works well in various contexts, from professional debates to casual chats with friends. Now, let's picture a group discussion in a book club. The leader asks, "What are your thoughts on the main character's motivations?" One member, Alex, responds, "That's a thought-provoking question. I think the character's motivations were complex, driven by both ambition and insecurity. What are your interpretations?" By acknowledging the question and inviting others to share their views, Alex encourages a more inclusive and respectful discussion. Polite expressions are also invaluable when providing feedback. Imagine you're helping a friend, Chloe, with her presentation slides. Instead of saying, "Your slides are too cluttered and confusing," you can offer constructive feedback by saying, "Chloe, your content is excellent and your passion for the topic shines through." Perhaps with a few minor adjustments to the slide layout, like using less text and more visuals, the presentation could be even more impactful. This approach encourages Chloe while offering helpful suggestions. Another common situation is disagreeing with a colleague. Let's say your coworker, David, suggests implementing a new software system. You're not convinced it's the best solution. Instead of saying, "That's a terrible idea," you can say, "I understand why you're drawn to that software, David. I've heard some positive things about it too. However, I think we should also carefully evaluate another option, considering its compatibility with our existing systems. What are your thoughts on that?" This response maintains a positive tone and promotes a productive dialogue. Politeness extends to social settings as well. Imagine you're at a family dinner and your uncle makes a statement you strongly disagree with. Instead of reacting defensively, you can say, "That's an interesting viewpoint, Uncle. I've actually come across a slightly different perspective on that topic. Would you be interested in hearing about it?" This approach allows you to share your opinion without creating unnecessary conflict. It's equally important to use polite phrases in written communication, such as emails and messages. If you're making a request of your professor, instead of writing, "You need to review my paper," you can say, "Professor, would you be so kind as to review my paper when you have some availability?" Your feedback would be greatly appreciated. This respectful tone significantly increases the likelihood of a positive response. Let's consider another example. Imagine you're chatting with your friend, Sarah, at a coffee shop. Sarah says, I truly believe that everyone should follow a strict vegan diet. It's the healthiest way to live. You have a different perspective but want to express it politely. Instead of saying, "That's ridiculous," you can respond with, "That's a valid point, Sarah." A vegan diet certainly has many health benefits. I also think that a balanced diet that includes a variety of foods can be healthy too. It probably varies from person to person. What are your thoughts? This response acknowledges Sarah's opinion while gently introducing your own. Now, think about a workplace scenario. Your colleagues, Mark and Lisa, are discussing a project timeline. Lisa proposes a tight deadline. Mark believes it's unrealistic. Instead of saying, "That's impossible," Mark can reply, "That's an ambitious deadline, Lisa, and I appreciate your desire to complete the project quickly. I'm just concerned about ensuring the quality of the work. Perhaps we could explore some ways to optimize our workflow to meet that deadline, or consider a slight adjustment to the schedule." This response is constructive and collaborative. Let's shift our focus to expressing opinions in potentially difficult situations. Sometimes, you might disagree with a friend or family member on a sensitive topic. For example, imagine your sister, Carol, says, "I think the only way to be successful is to prioritize your career above everything else, even your personal life." You have a different view on work-life balance. You could say, "I understand your perspective, Carol. Hard work and dedication are definitely important for achieving goals. I also believe that prioritizing well-being and maintaining a healthy work-life balance can contribute to long-term success and overall happiness. What are your experiences with that?" This approach fosters open dialogue and avoids creating a confrontational atmosphere. Polite language is also essential in public settings. Imagine you're at a restaurant and your order is incorrect. Instead of saying, "This is wrong," take it back. You can say, "Excuse me, I believe there might have been a slight mix-up with my order. I ordered the pasta primavera, but this looks like the chicken Alfredo. Could you please check on that for me?" This polite and respectful tone is much more likely to elicit a helpful and positive response. Another crucial aspect of expressing opinions politely is your tone of voice. Even if you use polite words, an aggressive or impatient tone can undermine your message. Speaking calmly, clearly, and with a friendly tone helps maintain a positive and productive conversation. Now, let's consider a classroom scenario. The instructor asks, "What are your thoughts on the role of technology in education?" A student, Mia, replies, "That's an interesting question. I believe technology offers incredible opportunities for personalized learning and access to information. However, I also think it's important to consider the potential drawbacks, such as the digital divide and the importance of face-to-face interaction. What do you all think?" By structuring her response in this way, Mia expresses her opinion thoughtfully and invites diverse perspectives. A helpful technique for making your opinions sound more polite is to use softening phrases. Instead of saying, "You're mistaken," you can say, "I see your point, but I have a slightly different view on that." Instead of saying, "That doesn't make sense," you can say, "That's an interesting idea. Could you perhaps elaborate a bit more on your reasoning?" Let's delve deeper into strategies for expressing opinions politely in various situations. Remember, politeness isn't about suppressing your views, it's about sharing them in a way that encourages productive conversation and minimizes unnecessary conflict. Imagine you're in a discussion with your coworkers about ways to improve team communication. Your colleague, Sarah, suggests, "I think we should have daily check-in meetings to ensure everyone is on the same page." You believe that daily meetings would be excessive and unproductive. Instead of saying, "That's a terrible idea. We're already overwhelmed," you can say, "That's an interesting suggestion, Sarah. I appreciate your focus on communication. Meetings can definitely be helpful for staying aligned. I'm just wondering if daily meetings might take up a significant amount of our time, potentially impacting our individual tasks. Perhaps we could explore a balance, like shorter, more focused meetings a few times a week, combined with efficient project management tools." This response acknowledges Sarah's idea, presents your concern about time management, and proposes an alternative solution. Now, let's consider a family decision. Your parents are discussing weekend plans. Your father suggests, I think we should dedicate the entire weekend to cleaning and organizing the garage. You'd prefer to spend some time relaxing and having fun. Instead of saying, that sounds incredibly boring, you can say, that's a responsible plan, Dad, and I agree that keeping the house organized is important. Perhaps we could allocate a few hours to the garage project and then also plan some time for a family outing or a relaxing activity together. What do you think? This approach shows respect for your father's suggestion while also expressing your desire for some leisure time. Politeness is particularly important when communicating with people in positions of authority, such as teachers, managers, or elders. Imagine you're a student and your professor assigns a project with a tight deadline. Instead of saying, this deadline is completely unfair and unrealistic, you can say, Professor, I appreciate the challenge of this assignment. I'm just a bit concerned about the timeline. I was wondering if there might be any possibility of a slight extension to allow us to produce our best possible work. We're eager to delve into the material and create a high-quality project. This respectful request is more likely to be received positively than a complaint. Let's turn to friendships. Imagine your friend, James, is enthusiastically promoting a new diet. He says, I think everyone should completely eliminate carbohydrates. It's the only way to be healthy. You don't fully agree with this extreme approach. Instead of saying, that's ridiculous. You can't live without carbs, you can say, that's an interesting perspective, James. I know that reducing carbohydrate intake can have some health benefits. I also believe that a balanced diet that includes complex carbohydrates can be part of a healthy lifestyle for many people. It probably depends on individual needs and preferences. What are your thoughts? This response acknowledges his enthusiasm while sharing your own viewpoint in a non-confrontational way. Politeness is also crucial when giving advice. Let's say your younger brother, Alex, is struggling with his homework. He says, I don't understand any of this. It's impossible. Instead of saying, you're just not trying hard enough, you can say, I know this material can be challenging, Alex, but you're making good progress. Perhaps we could work through it together, step by step. I'm here to help you understand it. This approach offers encouragement and support without making him feel inadequate. Remember, politeness is not just about the words you use. It's also about creating a comfortable and respectful environment for others while still expressing your thoughts. Another useful technique is asking for others' opinions before offering your own. Imagine you and a group of friends are deciding where to go for dinner. Instead of saying, let's go to that new Italian place. It's the best, you can say, I've heard good things about that new Italian restaurant downtown. I was thinking of checking it out. What are everyone's preferences for dinner tonight? This approach makes others feel included in the decision-making process and shows that you value their input. Polite expressions are also valuable in professional settings. Imagine you're in a job interview, and the interviewer asks, why did you leave your previous position? Instead of saying, my old boss was terrible and the company was a mess, you can say, I gained valuable experience at my previous company, and I'm grateful for the opportunities one had there. I'm now seeking new challenges and opportunities for growth that align with my career aspirations. This response is more positive, professional, and focuses on your future goals. Now, let's consider a scenario in a group project at school. You and your classmates are working on a presentation, and one team member, Lisa, suggests using a lot of complex technical jargon. You feel that the presentation should be more accessible to a general audience. Instead of saying, that's way too complicated, no one will understand that, you can say, those are some interesting ideas, Lisa. I appreciate your expertise. Perhaps we could also incorporate some simpler explanations or visuals to ensure that everyone in the audience can easily follow along. This way, we can cater to a wider range of understanding. This approach allows you to express your concern without dismissing Lisa's contributions and helps maintain a positive team dynamic. A similar approach works well in everyday conversations. Imagine your neighbor, Mr. Davis, is sharing his opinions on gardening. He says, I firmly believe that you should water your plants every single day without fail. You think that plants should only be watered when the soil is dry. Instead of saying, "That's completely wrong. You'll drown your plants," you can say, "That's a really interesting approach, Mr. Davis. I've read that some plants actually thrive when they're watered less frequently, allowing the soil to dry out between waterings. It probably depends on the specific plant type, don't you think?" This response shows respect for his experience while introducing a different perspective, keeping the conversation open and engaging. Let's consider another common situation: customer service interactions. Imagine you're at a store and you purchased an item that is defective. Instead of saying, "This product is garbage. I want my money back," you can say, "Excuse me, I recently purchased this item, and I've noticed that it's not functioning as expected. I was wondering if there's a possibility of exchanging it for a new one. I would greatly appreciate your assistance." By maintaining a polite and respectful tone, you increase the likelihood of receiving helpful and efficient customer service. People are generally more willing to assist when they feel respected and valued. One of the most important things to remember about polite communication is the significance of your tone of voice. Even if you use polite words, an impatient or annoyed tone can convey rudeness. A calm, friendly, and approachable tone makes a significant difference in how your message is received. Let's imagine another scenario. You're expressing your opinion in a debate. Your class is discussing the merits of working from home versus working in an office. Your classmate, Daniel, argues, "I believe working from home is always superior because it allows for greater focus and productivity." You think that working in an office also has benefits, such as fostering collaboration and team spirit. Instead of saying, "You're completely wrong about that," you can say, "That's a great point, Daniel. Working from home certainly offers advantages, like fewer distractions for some people. At the same time, I also think that working in an office environment can foster teamwork, communication, and a sense of community, which can also contribute to productivity. What has been your experience with that?" By framing your response this way, you encourage further discussion and create a more engaging exchange. Politeness is especially crucial in cross-cultural communication. Imagine you're interacting with someone from a different country, and they have different customs or views on certain topics. Instead of saying, "That's a strange custom," you can say, "That's a really interesting tradition. I've never encountered that before. Could you tell me more about its significance?" This response demonstrates curiosity and respect, fostering a more positive and enriching conversation. Another situation where politeness is essential is when giving constructive criticism. Imagine you're reviewing a colleague's report. Instead of saying, "This report is confusing and poorly written," you can say, "Your analysis in this report is insightful, and your research is thorough. I have a few suggestions that might help improve its clarity and flow, such as perhaps reorganizing this section and adding some headings to guide the reader. What are your thoughts on that?" This approach encourages the colleague and makes them more receptive to your feedback. Politeness is equally important in online discussions. In online forums and comment sections, where communication can sometimes be impersonal and prone to misunderstandings, it's crucial to maintain a respectful tone. If you see a comment you disagree with, instead of replying with something negative or inflammatory, you can say, "That's an interesting viewpoint. I have a slightly different perspective on that issue. Here are my reasons for thinking that way." This approach promotes a more civil and productive online dialogue. Now, let's think about how to politely end a conversation when you realize you and the other person have fundamentally different viewpoints. Imagine you're discussing a political issue with a friend, and it becomes clear that neither of you is going to change your mind. Instead of continuing to argue, you can say, "I see that we have different perspectives on this issue, and that's perfectly okay. It's always valuable to hear different viewpoints, even if we don't fully agree. Perhaps we could shift the conversation to another topic." This allows you to conclude the discussion gracefully and maintain a positive relationship. The power of politeness in expressing opinions is undeniable. Being able to articulate your thoughts respectfully is a valuable skill in all aspects of life. Whether you're interacting with colleagues, friends, family members, or even strangers, the way you express yourself can significantly influence the outcome of the interaction. Remember, politeness doesn't mean avoiding disagreement. It means communicating your opinions in a way that fosters understanding, respect, and positive relationships. Think about a typical workplace scenario. Imagine you're in a meeting with your manager, Mr. Thompson, and your team. Mr. Thompson suggests using a particular software program for project management. He says, "I think this software will streamline our workflow and improve efficiency." However, you've researched other options and believe a different program would be a better fit. A direct, but potentially impolite response might be, "That software is terrible. The other one is much better." This kind of response could make Mr. Thompson feel like his suggestion is being dismissed and might discourage him from considering alternative viewpoints. Instead, you can adopt a more polite and constructive approach. You could say, "That's an interesting suggestion, Mr. Thompson. I appreciate your focus on efficiency. I've also been exploring some other project management software options, and I found one that seems to have some additional features that might be beneficial for our specific needs. Perhaps we could briefly compare the two and see which one aligns best with our project requirements." This response acknowledges Mr. Thompson's idea, introduces your perspective in a positive and respectful manner, and encourages a collaborative discussion. Let's consider a more personal example, a conversation with friends. Imagine your friend, Rachel, says, "I think everyone should wake up at 5 a.m. every day to maximize productivity. It's the only way to get anything done." You disagree because you believe that different people have different energy levels and work best at different times of day. Instead of saying, "That's ridiculous. I'm a night owl and I'm perfectly productive," you could say, "That's an interesting point, Rachel. I know that waking up early works wonders for some people, and I admire your discipline. Personally, I find that I'm most focused and creative later in the evening. I guess it really depends on individual preferences and circadian rhythms. What has been your experience with that?" By responding in this way, you acknowledge Rachel's opinion while also sharing your own thoughts in a way that invites further discussion and avoids creating a confrontational atmosphere. Politeness is also crucial in family discussions, which can sometimes be emotionally charged. Imagine your uncle, Mr. Johnson, is talking about the best way to maintain a healthy lifestyle. He says, "I firmly believe that the only way to stay healthy is to follow a strict diet, eliminating all processed foods and sugar." You don't fully agree with this restrictive approach. Instead of saying, "That's completely unrealistic. People need to enjoy food," you can say, "That's a great perspective, Uncle. Eating whole, unprocessed foods is definitely beneficial for our health. I've also read that a balanced approach that allows for occasional treats in moderation can also be sustainable and contribute to overall well-being. What are your thoughts on that?" This response respects your uncle's opinion while politely introducing a different viewpoint, fostering a more constructive and respectful family conversation. Another important situation where politeness plays a crucial role is when providing feedback. Imagine you're reviewing your friend, Adam's, presentation for a class project. You notice that his slides are very text-heavy, making them visually overwhelming and difficult to read. Instead of saying, "Your slides are a mess. They're impossible to follow," you can say, "Adam, I really like the content of your presentation, and your passion for the topic is evident. I have a suggestion that might help make it even more impactful. Perhaps you could consider using shorter bullet points and incorporating more visuals to break up the text and make the slides easier for the audience to digest. What do you think about that?" This approach offers constructive criticism in a supportive and encouraging way, making Adam more receptive to your suggestions. Politeness is also essential when making requests or asking for favors. Imagine you're at work and you need your colleague, Sarah, to send you an important file. Instead of saying, "Send me that file right now," you can say, "Hi Sarah, would you be able to send me that file when you have a moment? I'd really appreciate it if you could get it to me by the end of the day. Thanks." By phrasing your request politely, you show respect for Sarah's time and increase the likelihood of a prompt and positive response. Sometimes, you may find yourself in conversations where emotions are running high and disagreements are intense. Let's say your friend, Jason, strongly believes that working long hours and sacrificing personal time is the only path to success. You believe that maintaining a healthy work-life balance is equally important for long-term productivity and well-being. Instead of saying, "That's a terrible idea," "You'll burn out," you can say, "I understand your perspective, Jason. Hard work and dedication are definitely crucial for achieving goals. I also believe that prioritizing self-care and maintaining a healthy work-life balance can actually enhance productivity and lead to greater job satisfaction in the long run. What has been your experience with that?" This type of response acknowledges Jason's viewpoint and opens the door for a more nuanced and respectful discussion. Politeness is also invaluable in customer service interactions. Whether you're a customer seeking assistance or a service representative helping a customer, polite communication can significantly influence the outcome of the interaction. Imagine you ordered a product online and it arrived damaged. Instead of saying, "You sent me a broken product. Fix this now," you can say, "Hello, I recently received my order and unfortunately, the item arrived damaged. I was wondering what the process is for getting a replacement. I would really appreciate your assistance with this matter." By maintaining a polite and courteous tone, you increase the likelihood of receiving prompt and satisfactory service. Sometimes, you may need to politely end a conversation, especially if it's becoming unproductive or going in circles. Imagine you're discussing a project strategy with a colleague, and you realize that you have fundamentally different approaches, and neither of you is likely to change your mind. Instead of saying, "This is pointless. We're not getting anywhere," you can say, "I appreciate your perspective on this, and it's clear that we have different approaches to this particular aspect of the project. Perhaps we could explore both methods on a smaller scale and then evaluate which one yields the best results. This way, we can make a data-driven decision. What do you think?" This allows you to conclude the conversation gracefully and respectfully, while still advocating for a solution-oriented approach. In today's digital age, a significant portion of our communication takes place online, whether in comment sections, forums, or email threads. Polite communication is just as crucial in these virtual spaces as it is in face-to-face interactions. If you see a comment online that you disagree with, instead of replying with something negative or inflammatory, you can say, "That's an interesting viewpoint. I have a slightly different perspective on this issue, and here are my reasons for thinking that way." This approach encourages a more civil and productive online discourse, reducing the likelihood of online arguments and fostering respectful exchanges. Ultimately, when you express your opinions politely, you strengthen your relationships with others. People perceive you as someone who is a good listener, respects diverse viewpoints, and communicates effectively. This can lead to stronger friendships, more productive workplace collaborations, and a more positive overall reputation. Remember, politeness isn't about always agreeing. It's about how you present your opinions. The right choice of words, a friendly tone, and a willingness to listen can make all the difference in any conversation. By consistently practicing polite communication in your daily interactions, you'll cultivate stronger connections and achieve more effective communication in all areas of your life. Now, let's delve even deeper into the practical applications of politeness in various real-life scenarios, providing you with more tools and strategies to navigate different communication situations with confidence and grace. Expressing your opinion effectively often hinges on your ability to balance assertiveness with respect. In a professional setting, for instance, you want to convey your ideas clearly and confidently, but also in a way that acknowledges the contributions and perspectives of your colleagues. Imagine you're in a team meeting and your manager, Ms. Rodriguez, is outlining a new marketing strategy. You have some concerns about the budget allocation and believe that a different distribution of resources might yield better results. You might be tempted to say, "This budget is completely wrong. We need to allocate more funds to digital marketing." However, a more polite and persuasive approach would be, "Thank you for presenting this strategy, Ms. Rodriguez. I appreciate the focus on innovation. I have a few questions about the budget allocation. I was wondering if we could explore the possibility of shifting some resources towards digital marketing initiatives, as I believe they have the potential to deliver a higher return on investment in the current market. What are your thoughts on that?" This response acknowledges your manager's effort, articulates your concerns clearly, and invites a collaborative discussion to find the best solution. Navigating disagreements with colleagues requires a delicate balance of assertiveness and diplomacy. Imagine you're working on a joint project with your colleague, Mr. Lee. He proposes a design concept that you find aesthetically unappealing and not aligned with the project's target audience. Instead of saying, "That design is hideous," it's completely inappropriate, you can say, "Mr. Lee, I appreciate your creative input, and I see the artistic merit in your design. However, I'm a bit concerned about its appeal to our target demographic. Perhaps we could explore some alternative design options that might resonate more strongly with our audience? I'd be happy to share some ideas I've been considering." This approach avoids harsh criticism and fosters a collaborative effort to find a mutually agreeable solution. Providing feedback, especially when it involves constructive criticism, demands sensitivity and tact. Imagine your friend, Sarah, asks you for your opinion on a presentation she's preparing. You notice that her delivery is a bit monotone and lacks energy, which might not captivate the audience. Instead of saying, "Your presentation is boring, you'll put everyone to sleep," you can say, "Sarah, your presentation is very informative and your knowledge of the subject is impressive." To make it even more engaging, you might consider incorporating some more vocal variety and enthusiasm in your delivery. Perhaps you could use some storytelling techniques or vary your pace to keep the audience captivated. I think you have a great presentation, and these small adjustments could make it truly outstanding. This approach focuses on positive reinforcement and offers specific, actionable suggestions for improvement. Even in casual conversations with friends, politeness can prevent misunderstandings and maintain a harmonious atmosphere. Let's say your friend, David, expresses a strong opinion on a controversial topic. You disagree with his viewpoint, but you want to avoid a heated argument. Instead of saying, "You're completely wrong about that, you don't know what you're talking about," you can say, "That's an interesting perspective, David. I appreciate you sharing your thoughts. I have a somewhat different view on that issue, and I'd be happy to explain my reasoning if you're interested." It's always valuable to hear different viewpoints and broaden our understanding. This approach acknowledges his right to have his own opinion and offers to engage in a respectful and constructive exchange. Family discussions, especially on sensitive topics, require a high degree of tact and empathy. Imagine your aunt, Mrs. Peterson, expresses strong opinions about lifestyle choices that differ from yours. Instead of saying, "Your lifestyle is unhealthy and outdated," you can say, "Aunt Peterson, I understand that you have strong beliefs about healthy living, and I respect your commitment to your lifestyle. I've also found that different approaches work for different people, and I believe in finding what's sustainable and enjoyable for each individual. Perhaps we could share our experiences and learn from each other's perspectives." This approach avoids judgmental statements and promotes a respectful exchange of ideas. The way you handle requests and express needs can significantly influence the outcome of your interactions. Imagine you're at work and you need a colleague, Mr. Chen, to provide you with some data for your report. Instead of saying, "I need that data now, give it to me immediately," you can say, "Mr. Chen, I was wondering if you could provide me with the data for the quarterly sales report. I need to incorporate it into my analysis, and I'd be grateful if you could share it with me by this afternoon, if possible. Please let me know if you anticipate any delays." This polite and considerate request is more likely to elicit a prompt and cooperative response. In online discussions, where communication can often be impersonal and prone to misinterpretations, politeness is paramount. If you see a comment that you strongly disagree with, instead of replying with a sarcastic or inflammatory remark, you can say, "That's an interesting point. I have a slightly different perspective on that issue, and I'd like to share my reasons for thinking that way. I believe that considering diverse viewpoints can lead to a more comprehensive understanding of the topic." This approach encourages a more civil and constructive online dialogue, reducing the likelihood of escalating into a heated argument. When offering advice or suggestions, politeness can make your input more readily accepted and appreciated. Imagine a friend, Michael, is struggling with a personal problem. Instead of saying, "You're handling this all wrong, you should do it my way," You can say, "Michael, I'm really sorry to hear you're going through this. It sounds incredibly challenging. I have a few ideas that have worked for me in similar situations, and I'd be happy to share them if you're open to hearing them. Ultimately, you know what's best for you, but I just want to offer my support and share some potential strategies." This approach conveys empathy and respect, making your advice more welcome and less likely to be perceived as criticism. Even when expressing negative feedback or addressing complaints, politeness can significantly improve the outcome of the interaction. Imagine you're at a restaurant and your food arrives cold. Instead of saying, "This food is disgusting. I'm not paying for this," you can say, "Excuse me, I'm very sorry to trouble you, but my food seems to be a bit cold. I was wondering if it might be possible to have it warmed up or perhaps replaced. I would greatly appreciate your assistance." This polite and considerate approach is more likely to elicit a prompt and courteous response from the staff. The ability to politely disagree and express dissenting opinions is crucial for fostering critical thinking and intellectual growth. In academic discussions, for example, students should feel empowered to challenge assumptions and present alternative interpretations, but always in a respectful and constructive manner. Imagine a student, Emily, disagrees with her professor's interpretation of a literary work. Instead of saying, "Your interpretation is completely wrong. You've missed the whole point," she can say, "Professor, I appreciate your insightful analysis of the text. I also found myself drawn to a slightly different interpretation, particularly regarding the symbolism of the recurring motif. I was wondering if we could explore that a bit further and consider alternative perspectives." This approach encourages a respectful and intellectually stimulating exchange of ideas. In conclusion, mastering the art of polite communication is an investment that pays dividends in all areas of life. By cultivating your ability to express your opinions with clarity, respect, and empathy, you'll build stronger relationships, enhance your professional success, and contribute to a more positive and harmonious world. Remember, politeness isn't about compromising your values or suppressing your voice. It's about empowering yourself to communicate effectively and respectfully, fostering understanding and collaboration in all your interactions.